I'm your intro host today, JB. Right across from me, I got Jab.
What's going on?
And of course, Big Mike over here.
How's it going?
And today we have a show. We're going to be talking part 2 about depression is not just sadness. And we got special guest Susan Lyons.
Yes.
Do I need to say Mary Susan Lyons? Or?
Yeah, LPC Mary Susan Lyons.
And tell everybody what your credentials are again.
I'm a licensed professional counselor. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to be talking to her about any type of issue of depression and mental health. You know, she's leaving it open. She's been great on part 1. So we're going to invite you to dial in. The number is 817-382-7012. Give us a call. You know, we take live calls. Ask her a question. I'm sure she'd be glad to answer it. And if she doesn't, she might tell you to go fuck yourself. That's up to her. But, 817-382-7012. So,
and what's the time limit on these calls?
Depends on how good the question is.
Okay, well, let's keep it short.
If you're dumb, we're going to let it go.
Let's keep it short, people.
So did you want to add any Let's Eat this show?
Yeah, that was going to be it right there, what you just done. We took care of it. It's your day. We're going to get more into depression this episode.
Yes.
And we'll let everybody also know that, the reason we just chose to make this a 2-part episode, not just because she's such a lovely guest, but it's actually for you, the people. Man, we understand that a lot of people are dealing with depression. In the first episode last week, we didn't really get a chance to get real deep into depression. So we're going to get a little more into depression. That you speak about it. We're going to shut up. We're going to shut up. And we're going to let you get serious. So,
okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
So do you want to deep dive into depression, or can I ask a question to at least evoke depression?
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to know, because here's the thing. When I think about mental health, we all have issues. Mm-hmm. And depression is something I know we'll deep dive into. But what is normal? What the fuck's normal? Like, what is the baseline to say you're a depressive person, you're not? You're a nutcase, you're not. Whatever I don't know the PC term or whatever.
Yeah. I use neurotypical.
Neurotypical.
In line.
I did hear neurospicy, by the way.
Yes, neurospicy.
Is that like nerd language? That's
it's basically for neurodivergent people. I like to say neurospicy.
Like it.
Neurospicy.
Yeah, so neurospicy, those are going to be your people that have differences in the way they think. ADHD, OCD, bipolar disorder, anxiety, stuff like that.
So,
and autism. I don't want to forget autism.
Yeah. So what would you say is the norm then? Or is everyone just depressed?
I don't think everybody is depressed. I definitely know people that are, don't seem to be depressed in any way to me, that seem to have very full and fulfilling lives. But when we're talking clinical depression, so clinical depression, at the bare minimum, it has to last 6 months or longer. Yeah. And then it has to be sufficient that it actually causes problems in your life. Like either it causes problems at work, maybe it causes problems in your home life, and just like basic functionality. Because a person with depression, for instance, like I know a lot of people that are functional depressive people, as in they're able to appear to everybody else to be happy people. They're able to function well in their work life, but quietly away from other people, like at times they're kind of falling apart a little bit. And one example of that everybody he's very near and dear to my heart, but most people know about Robin Williams.
Sure.
Yeah. Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain. Man, I loved him.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah. But these are people that were very depressed to the point where they actually took their own lives.
What does that look like?
What do you mean?
Like what does it look like to be so depressed that you'll take your own life? Like, what is that? Does it feel a certain way? Like we
can't ask anybody who's done it.
No, I know, but maybe they've asked people before they've done it. No, I know. I got you, man. I know you. I know. But seriously, there should be some level of, how do you know? Okay.
Well, as a clinician, I will tell you when it's time to worry. Okay. So when a person starts having those thoughts of wanting to kill themselves, wanting their life to end, wanting to go to sleep and not wake up. Okay. So that's one sign. The next one is they've actually thought about how they're going to do it. So if you're having depressive thoughts and you're having thoughts of, suicide, we call that ideation. That's not good, and you should probably talk to somebody about that. But it's the combination of that plus having a plan, plus having the means or ability to follow through with that plan. For example, if you might feel like you want to die and feel like your plan is to take the gun out of your safe and shoot yourself. Trigger warning, sorry. And then, you happen to have a gun that you have easy access to. Those three elements combined, that's a real problem. Like, that's someone that really needs to present themselves to the closest psychiatric emergency room for care and treatment.
But what does that particular pain look and feel like? And this is the reason I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because I think we all have, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think we all have these thoughts that we just kind of want to bury our head in the sand sometimes.
Of course, yeah.
Like, there's been times I don't ever think about suicide. I really don't. Sometimes like, man, maybe today I just don't wake up, fuck it, kind of thing. But I'm not really thinking about contemplating on suicide. But when someone gets to this point in their life where they're really thinking about losing their life, the question's kind of twofold. Number one, is there like a descriptive pain symptom that people begin to feel? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
And then, what does that look like?
Okay.
Good jobs over here.
Because we said
It depends.
Speak about
I'm
that.
asking to speak. I'm
It
curious
depends
what
on
you're
how
talking about.
well. It depends on how well they are at functioning, at hiding it. Some people fake good really well. I am one of those people. I've been severely depressed at various points in my life, and no one around me knew that I was depressed. That was between me and my psychiatrist, and therapist. But as far as like what they're feeling, sometimes it can feel like numbness. Like, people think that depression is sadness, and sometimes people do feel sad and depression, but many times they go numb, because what happens is over a period of time you feel so much pain and sadness and hurt, and just really unpleasant emotions from that depression that it's so painful that you end up like turning off your emotions, so you become numb. Yeah. And, and again, what it looks like, this is someone that typically they lose interest in things that they used to enjoy doing before. So they kind of stop doing that. They tend to self-isolate and withdraw from the people around them. And a big, big, big warning sign is if they start giving their things away. Because if they start giving their things away, basically they're preparing for it. Yeah.
The numbness that you mentioned is something that I've experienced in my own battles with depression. So I totally get that. And something that I've heard other people say when it comes to being suicidal is that nobody actually wants to die.
You just want the pain to stop.
Yeah. It's so unbearable that you're willing to die to make it stop.
Yeah.
And when I was diagnosed and I was actually prescribed medication, I actually had some pretty nasty side effects that I was not a fan of, and that kind of caused me to quit. It got to the point where I was like, what, I'd rather deal with this than keep taking this medication.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, when you're in the kind of on an outpatient basis, it takes a long time. Number one, it takes a long time for a lot of those medications to work to start with. And sometimes you start feeling worse before you feel better because of the side effects. Sometimes it's just not the right medication for you. And, it's just a matter of trying something else or trying different, with your doctor, trying different things with you until you pinpoint like what specifically works for me. The benefit to being inpatient is, basically where you're staying in the hospital, be in a psychiatric hospital like where I work. The benefit to that is the doctor can make those changes a lot faster. And so, immediately if it's not working for you, it's not doing anything, and you're experiencing a lot of bad side effects, they can, immediately try something different. Whereas if you're doing that on an outpatient basis, typically they will prescribe it and then you'll see them like in a month.
So how long of a inpatient period would you be looking at to be able to find the correct medication?
Okay, well, at the hospital that I work at, typical stay, they say, is like 7 to 10 days. Depending on, what you're in there for. But Yeah. So about a week, maybe a week and a half.
So, but what's going on in the mind? If someone feels like they want to die, is there like a chemical imbalance? Like what's going on in the mind to make them feel that type of pain and depression?
It is. It is a lot of chemical imbalance. That definitely plays into that. Another thing that we do, though, is we do a lot of coping skills. Like in my groups, I teach a lot of coping skills. I also teach things that are, CBT based, cognitive behavior therapy, where I'm teaching people to kind of reframe their thoughts and how they think about things. And sometimes I talk about it like I'm taking off my negative Nancy glasses and I'm putting on my positive Paula glasses. Which sounds like an oversimplification, but
I get it. Yeah.
People get that. Yeah. But honestly, I mean, depression and suicide is a huge deal. In Texas, it is the second leading cause of death for people 15 to 34 in Texas. Yeah. Y'all going to hate me when I tell you the first cause.
What's the first cause?
Guns.
That's why people
gun violence.
die.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, guns is the tool they use to shoot people. Yeah, no, I got you.
Gun violence, yes.
Yeah.
Which is also pretty terrible. But I kind of feel like a lot of these mental health problems that we're having, like nationwide, are the result of trauma, and probably, I'm on my soapbox here because, I'm very trauma informed in my work. But trauma is the real gateway drug. Some people think, the gateway drug is marijuana. I disagree. I think it's trauma. And that's, and trauma causes, again, it affects the way you think. It actually causes changes in the brain. Trauma with trauma over time, it can shrink the hippocampus, which is kind of your memory, a lot of your storage of memories and then it actually increases the size of the amygdala. And your amygdala is kind of that stress response system. It's in control of that, plus a lot of other things. But essentially what happens is due to trauma, your body feels like it's in a constant state of stress. And so, interestingly enough, I'm, trying not to go on a tangent here, but interestingly enough, trauma causes physical problems. There was a study, it was a landmark study they did in the 90s called the Kaiser Permanente study. And so what they looked at is ACE scores. ACE is adverse childhood experiences. In other words, how much trauma you went through in childhood. And so what they found was a very, very strong correlation between higher ACE scores and having physical illness. Obviously depression and anxiety, but also things like heart disease, cardiovascular problems, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, but a lot of physical problems are, linked to that trauma.
That just makes me wonder how powerful the mind is. Like if you can get this in sync, and the rest of this works out, even to live longer and to be healthier, Yes.
Well, I kind of feel like as a clinician, I kind of feel like you have to address both the mind and the body. Because, in my belief, the mind affects the body affects the mind.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned earlier something about red dyes and how that could affect ADHD.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that there are probably also some foods that might affect how someone may handle their depression as well. Or am I off base?
It would not surprise me. It's not something I've ever done a deep dive into, so I can't really speak intelligently on the subject, but I feel there's probably something to that. And there's definitely things that can contribute to that. Like for example, if you eat a lot of sugar and you eat a lot of fat and you have that tendency to put on weight, well, people as they're putting on weight, I am pro body positivity. Like you're beautiful, like no matter your shape and size, but people tend to have like very low self-esteem and they feel really bad about themselves. Yeah. A lot of body dysmorphing. Yeah, dysmorphia. Yeah. Looking in the mirror and believing that you are heavier than you actually are, or looking in the mirror and seeing someone and going, "Oh my God, I'm ugly."
I look in the mirror and I wonder why I have such a negative ass.
Oh, is it like
I got a negative ass.
it's like an anti-ass?
Yeah. It's like I look like that. I look, my stomach kind of goes out,
Yeah.
but this part, look, this is the ass side. It just goes like this.
Uh-huh. Sounds like you need
A
goes
woman
in-
told him that.
Yeah.
It's a little concave.
You got to hook your friend up. He needs to be doing some squats.
Yeah, hey man, I tell women all the time, but they say that squats don't make your butt bigger. It's got to be in you. It's just
It does help. No,
think so?
really. Yeah.
I don't think
It does help.
I know people
I
who've
noticed
never
since
done
I-
a squat in their life, and they got a.
I used to do heavy squats. I used to do heavy squats, like tons and tons of squats in my workout. And, I was doing good. I've noticed, like, since, I with a 5-year-old who's, with, some of the issues that he has, I don't have that time to go and work out like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've noticed a little bit of shrinkage
You can
there.
just do them in the house.
Yeah, you can, but
While you're holding a 5-year-old, pick them up and squat.
I actually do that, believe it
That's
or
what
not.
you-
Yeah,
yeah.
I used to work out with my son. Anyway, we digress.
No, but it's
Oh.
okay because when you talk about fitness,
Uh-huh.
I've always heard exercise is the greater cure for all depressional type scenarios.
I won't say it's a cure, but I will say it definitely does help.
How does it help though? What does it do? Do you mind?
Endorphins.
Yeah.
Yeah, endorphins, kind of those feel good hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I will point out though is when you exercise, especially if you're getting out of the house to exercise, you're around other people. And so, like 2023, a lot of us are very physically isolated from other people. You may have friends online, but you're not seeing people in person as much. If you catch my drift, and that, believe it or not, that's actually important. Your body creates oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone, when you're in the presence of other people. And you don't get that from being online.
Yeah. Mike was asking you a second ago about food. Does it affect, with depression or whatever?
Yeah.
And he but I really wanted to ask that question too, because the hormones that are in food, and the reason I'm asking this is I've been having some health issues, and then the health issues I've been having, they're causing me to get depressed because I'm scared because I've never been that guy.
Yeah.
I've always been the in shape, big muscle guy, thinking I'm eating right.
Yeah.
And then I'm finding out that, I'm not eating a bunch of junk food and a bunch of carbs, a bunch of fat, but I'm eating a lot of beef, and I'm eating a lot of maybe they're not the correct seasonings on meat. So I'm looking healthy and in shape. But the hormones, when I was talking to the hormones in the food, which is what my doctor and another person who's not a doctor, more of a herbalist, was talking about in our foods. If there's hormones in the food, then wouldn't that have to, not saying it would make you depressed, but if it's hormones, it would affect your hormones if you're eating hormones.
It would not surprise me.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
it's not really my
I see what you're
clinical wheelhouse,
Yeah.
but I have done kind of my own,
Right.
study of that.
Right.
And what I do know is like the U.S. has a really bad problem with depression, anxiety.
Right.
We actually we consume most of the medication, like prescription drugs. Our usage of prescription drugs is much higher than any other country. Yeah, but also in the food supply, there's a lot of additives, and I do know that like people that move overseas, it's very common for them to report losing a lot of weight just eating regular food because there's not so many additives in the food overseas. Like in different countries, a lot of the additives that are allowed in the U.S. are not allowed. Like in England, Mexico, even, believe it or not, Japan, Korea, also the Nordic countries. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to, like I said, I've been having health issues.
Yeah.
And I can admit that it's depressing. And Jerry spoke about it earlier.
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
don't really want to tell people what's wrong because people start, oh man, you all right here? You don't want to hear that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
And it's like, so you just deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But so I've been looking into changing my diet and foods.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine was telling me this. He said that like foods in other places where they eat healthy. Like I was like, oh, if Chinese food eat healthy, I could eat Chinese food. What if it's from a fast food restaurant? He was saying no, because in the fast food restaurants, they get the food from over there, so they put preservatives and seasonings on it to make it stay good to get here, and then they cook it in more.
Yeah.
And his exact words were, if you go to a Chinese, I hate to say Chinese people, but that's what the conversation was. He's like, if you go eat at their home, the food is totally different.
Oh, absolutely.
From the food in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like that has a lot to do with depression. And so the only reason I was wondering is asking because you're more the professional. I know you say professionally you can't really say, but you have your personal opinion.
I have my personal opinions about it. Yeah.
do you think that people should look into, different diets
Absolutely. Well,
that are depressed, that are dealing with depression?
absolutely. Well, I'm not talking about like dieting per se.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, one thing that we do know that contributes to better mental health is how you treat your body.
Right.
So eating healthier, exercising,
Right.
getting some sunshine, getting out of the house, getting some sunshine, and things like gardening. Believe it or not, gardening is awesome because, believe it or not, the microbes in the soil. There's microbes in the soil that actually fight depression.
It's funny. The more depressed I get normally means that she ain't putting out very much.
Well, not gonna lie,
Sex.
sexual health is part of that. On the other hand, again, I also used to teach healthy relationship groups, so it's very important to me that no one is pressured into into sex.
Yeah, but we're talking just the mere fact. Sex actually will help you lower your depression levels, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's good for women.
Well, I'm just
it's good
throwing it
for
out.
men.
I'm just throwing it out there. Next time she thinks I got an attitude problem, I'm just trying to let her know.
Well, nobody's stopping you from handling things yourself.
That ass in the air.
Oh, man.
And
Can you
that's
hear
okay too. No, really. They got all kinds of fun stuff out there.
Hey, shout out to Candace Walker Tuck. They're from the Couples Lounge. I think she's a licensed counselor herself too. I hope somebody calls in. What's the number again? 817-382-7012.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you also said this. I hope you can talk about it a little more. I might have heard you wrong, but you said to be diagnosed with depression, there has to be. You said it has to be 6 months.
Yeah. You have to experience that for 6 months.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, if you have to experience that for 6 months, so does that mean if I go to the
let me hold on.
Yeah.
Let me double check before I say that.
Okay, because I was about to say in 6 months, a lot could happen. But if a person, you know how you said people could be dealing with it, but they don't know it, or they could deal with it and just not want to share it with anybody. So if a professional said it had to be 6 months, what if I've had it for 4 months or 5 months, but I haven't shared it, and then I just come to see you?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was getting that mixed up with another one. Okay, so to be diagnosed with depression, a person has to have 5 depression symptoms every day,
that
nearly
sounds more
all
like
day, for at least 2 weeks. Okay.
That sounded more like it, because I was like, in 6 months,
I usually look at major.
I done killed myself.
I usually look at major depressive disorders. That's what I was thinking of. But yeah, so
at least I was listening.
Depression symptoms. Okay, first to understand.
Well, I just wanted to clarify real quick. It was
Yeah.
really important that you said it wasn't 6 months because she'll be like, well, it's been 5 months, motherfucker. So
Yes,
you
exactly.
got another month for you depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
No, but go ahead. You were saying.
Yes. So especially with you guys, being guys here, I think this is important to mention. But presentation is different in men versus women for depression. Right. So in men a lot of times don't realize they're depressed, or they'll swear up and down they're not depressed because they're like, well, I'm not feeling sad all the time. Well, depression in men tends to present as anger, irritability, lashing out at people. Yeah. And in women, it's more likely to be seen as, sadness at the beginning. Again, both of them over time become numb, right? But that's kind of a key difference in the presentation. But what you're also looking at is not enjoying doing things that like things that you enjoy doing normally. You just decide that you just don't enjoy doing it anymore. You're not doing those things. Sleep problems. That can be not sleeping enough, having interrupted sleep. That could also be sleeping way too much. Changes in mood, overall mood. And then you're also, changes in appetite can be one. Eating too much, eating too little, binge eating, stuff like that. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. But, as far as mental health goes, the United States has this major mental health problems, but Texas in particular, because, we're in the great state here.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. Well, yeehaw, Texas as the second leading, suicide is the second leading cause of death for 15 to 34 in Texas. In Texas, a recent study showed that it is literally the worst state to live in for mental health, looking at a variety of factors.
Wow.
Yeah. In Texas.
We're okay with people that are nuts leaving our state. Just want to make Just want to make that note. If you have mental health issues, we're okay with you leaving. I just want to make it known. Okay.
No.
So if it's the worst state to be in, I don't know why so many people want to be here.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I mean, think about it. A lot of people want to come to Texas.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm trying to leave.
We would all have to leave if that were the case.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, the other thing too is just understand that like there's a lot of stereotypes and stigma when it comes to mental health. Like we talk about that again at the psychiatric hospital I work at. That one big stigma is that people have a very poor opinion of people that have ever been in a psychiatric hospital.
Right.
A lot of times there's a poor opinion of people that have mental illness. And I'm not talking about just depression and anxiety, but I'm talking schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, schizoaffective disorder, things like that. Like, for example, there's an assumption many times that those people are violent. Okay. Mm-hmm. Not always the case. Yeah. Not even half the time is it the case. Yeah. Again, I see it sometimes because, again, being in a county hospital, but.
Yeah. I've noticed in the studies that not studies, but the situations I've seen, people who have mental health issues are usually more likely to do harm to themselves, but they're not going to really hurt anybody. I even heard it in a trial. When you have these people that go on these killing sprees and they try to blame it on mental health. Yeah. And one of the specialists came in and said that, like that.
It's not due to mental health.
Wrong. Yeah, it's not due to mental health.
No, it's due to psychopathy, which, is a completely different topic. It's very interesting, but completely different topic. Another part of that, though, with Texas, though, is we see depression and anxiety kind of, it contributes to like other problems. So like post-COVID in Texas, almost 37% of adults reported anxiety and depression. Okay, those are the statistics. So that's basically like a little over 1 in 4, right? Well, at the same time, in Texas, there was like over 106,000 deaths due to drug overdose in 2021. And that's honestly the highest rates ever. That was literally a 51% increase from prior to the pandemic.
Wow.
Maybe there's something about that beef. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's that, but there's a lot of stressors right now that are very unique to the world we're living in right now. There's post-COVID, and a lot of clinicians were reporting we were seeing a lot of people with some pretty intense depression due to isolation and all the other problems relating to COVID, fear of getting sick, fear of dying. And then we also have like the current political climate where a lot of people like me are losing our rights, and then, not just women, but, there's a literal war going on against transgender people and the LGBTQIA community because we have people painting them as groomers of children and pedophiles and stuff. When in reality, the big group where you do see that in is religious, in religious organizations and stuff like Boy Scouts,
I don't believe that there's a war against those people at all. I think it's just separatism because me as a heterosexual man, I feel like I was on, this has nothing to do with depression, but I saw where a guy called a man a faggot and he was like, couldn't be on social media, couldn't be this, couldn't be that. And I see people call women bitches all the time. I see people call black people niggers, and they're on TV, they're on social media.
Well, so, I think they should be castigated as well.
Yeah, but they will not.
We all have the right to free speech, but that does not excuse you from the consequences of your speech.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be an asshole, and that's your right to be an asshole. Right. But don't expect me to be your friend if you're acting like an asshole. Yeah.
I believe that. Do you believe that? Because I noticed that JB said, he made a good point. Everybody wants to come live here. This is the best state to live in. But you said the numbers of depression.
Not for everybody.
Hold on. You said that the numbers for depression are high here. But just because the numbers of depression, and then at the same time, you said people who are depressed and have mental illnesses, they get stereotyped.
Yeah.
So that means that you're saying they're not necessarily bad. So just because people are depressed,
of course
here,
not.
This still can be the greatest place to live, right?
For some people.
Right.
Yeah. For some people.
You get what I mean, though? Like, depression doesn't mean a high number in depression. That doesn't mean that it's not the greatest place to live, or do you think it does?
I think it contributes to it not being a great place.
Yeah, that's
I
what
feel
I
like
mean.
Texas in the past was a lot friendlier. You know, we're very. This is a very decisive, polarized time. Time for us.
Have you lived in any other states?
I was stationed in North Carolina. I was stationed in Maryland. I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan.
Yeah.
And, I've traveled to different states.
Like never like on your own, not in the military, just lived on your
No,
own?
no. Oh, I haven't lived full time, but like, I've visited like Washington State.
well-
I've visited like, oh gosh.
The
what
reason
else?
the reason I'm
Couple of
saying this is
different
that Texas is actually, this area is actually the biggest market. More people are migrating here
Yeah, you're
than
right.
anywhere in the world.
You're right.
And in California, places like in Chicago, places
Yeah.
like New York, it is so bad.
Well, people
can't-
are moving here for jobs.
That's
People
what
are
I'm saying.
moving here for,
relationships, for opportunity, for
Yeah.
better schools.
So why is this state better? Why is it economically speaking? Why is it better?
supposedly because of the job market,
Not supposedly. Why is it? If we just agree that everyone's coming here,
Yeah.
why is it better that everybody wants to come here? No, it's a real question. I'm not being competitive. I'm really
Yeah.
asking, why do you think it's better?
I don't know that it's better. Honestly, I
But
kind of
why-
wish people would stop coming here.
Well, that's what
we
I was,
already got enough traffic.
This is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
What I was getting at is the reason that our numbers, I'm going to tell you the reason why you see numbers like that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason you see numbers like that is because this is the best place that people want to go. And people are coming from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a mass, just like, let's just take Southwest Fort Worth.
So what you're saying is a lot of depressed people moved here?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I was about to tell you, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That when I'm just going to use Southwest Fort Worth compared to all of Fort Worth, compared to other places.
Yeah.
Okay, Southwest Fort Worth, I've lived there for most of since I've known you guys, let's say 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have McCart exits, pretty much the same exits besides the tollway. But where there used to just be all grass and cows, and we used to go cow tipping before school and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now there's houses, so there's people. There's
Yeah.
people from other places moving in. It's not that the people are depressed, and it's not that Texas that they're depressed. It's that the state has not been able to adjust yet to all the different cultures.
Oh,
and
the
stuff.
income,
So
or
look
the
at your
incoming
statistics
people.
that you're showing.
Yeah.
You're showing, just in 2021. Well, that's because these people have just begun to move here.
I think
since
that might
COVID.
be a factor,
No,
but I don't think
I
that's
think
everything.
It's not a factor.
I think he's on the
it's
point.
It's a fact.
I think
Okay.
it's
It-
yeah, I
no,
really
it-
do.
What I
It's-
mean, it is a fact, but it's a contributing fact.
Right.
But I don't think that's the only one.
Well, what I'm saying.
Oh,
is-
no, agreed,
No,
yeah.
agreed, totally. And I'm not going against what you're saying in depression.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I think the reason why I agree with you, but the reason we're that way is just like on the Southwest Fort Worth. I'll take apartments where there used to just be people from the Southwest of Fort Worth. Now, due to gentrification, they've shut down projects and other places. So in a complex where you used to just have, let's say, Southwest people,
Yeah.
now you have East Side people, South Side people, people from New Orleans, the
Okay.
Hispanic people, all in this area.
Yeah.
So you have different people with different cultures. The neighborhood doesn't have new community centers for these people. It doesn't have new festivals for these people.
Yeah.
So all these people are becoming depressed. No, I'm being honest.
No, I just laugh. No,
Because
it's good shit. But I just love what you
The
said.
city, the area doesn't have the things to accommodate people.
Yeah.
So yes, they don't know how to deal with it. So that's
Well,
why
yeah,
you're seeing more
that's-
depression. Texas is the same way. You go to Dallas, you're going to meet more. If you're single, you're going to meet more women from Chicago, California, than you meet from freaking Dallas. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right.
You meet more
Yeah.
women, and they'll
I
say,
do meet
"Hey,
a lot
I'm
of-
from
Yeah.
here, or I'm
Yeah.
from there."
Yeah.
And I think so. I agree with you. I agree with you. You're the professional. How can I disagree with stats? But I'm telling you the reason that's contributing to these things. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just one contribution,
Yeah.
but it's major.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to dealing with it, the people don't have the answer. You can't answer a person unless you understand them.
Right.
And a lot of times, I don't. Sometimes, I mean, this dude from Chicago, I know he getting mad.
Well,
I don't understand.
Again,
What the hell you say?
it's back to that polarization thing because
Right.
polarization makes us less flexible.
Right.
So we're
I agree.
less open-minded and willing to learn about a culture instead of going,
I agree.
F these guys. I'm tired of all these people moving in Texas.
Now this I agree with.
Yeah.
But and the same thing with us. The people who are not used to this and everything's changing, we get depressed too. I'm depressed about the house I
Absolutely.
live in
Yeah.
that I spent all this money for, and my area is changing to where it's almost not safe for me
Yeah.
to live And it's like, dang, I didn't work hard to live here, and you telling me now I need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well,
And even
I
I can
find
sell my
that,
house. The house, it's,
Well,
it's crazy.
I find that poor mental health does, and honestly, poverty feeds a lot into that, and
Yes,
kind of
it
the
does.
degradation of the area, because it's not the same Southwest that we grew up with.
It's damn-
like
it's
I
not.
am. This is my area. This is where I'm from.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of shocking to me. Like all of a sudden, I'm getting. I've had my car. Since my son was born, I've had my car broken into like 3-4 times, and I'm like, really? I'm like just like in a regular neighborhood.
Yeah, see, I'm not having none of those issues, but I just know that it does take place.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but you go to the store, you don't see the same people. All I'm saying is, I think Texas is basically like that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that it may be the most depressed, but we got to ask ourselves why.
I honestly, I feel like the political climate really feeds into that.
Okay.
Right now, there's a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment. There's a lot of anti-Asian sentiment because of COVID, where that was politicized. It really shouldn't have been. So
Well, I think it goes on what he said.
yeah,
You're dividing it by people that are not from this area, generally. And I think that's
you
what
can be Asian and be from this area.
I know.
Like there's tons
No,
of Asian people born
I'm aware
here.
of that.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm not confused.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that.
Uh-huh.
But what I'm saying is what he's saying. A lot of people that would migrate into Texas, when you talk about borders and political border issues, that's people that live inside Texas that don't want people migrating to Texas. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I feel you, but
That's what he's saying. He's saying that's why a lot of people
Yeah.
that are native Texans, born and raised Texan, get depressed because they have a lot of people that migrate over here when in reality we're a land of space.
yeah,
You said it
we've got
yourself.
plenty of room for people. Just
No,
yeah.
we do. That's not the issue. I get you. I'm not.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, a lot of people start getting depressed over that. They start feeling like you said. Yeah, I'm not. It's natural.
Yeah.
Anywhere there's space, people are going to come migrate, and it just has to be because
Yeah.
it's
Or where
it is
it's
what it is.
where it's better
Well,
to live.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
My neighbors that used to be Caucasian are Hispanic, and they're from Mexico, and they say it's better here. They come for opportunity. So my street looks different
Yeah.
than my street did. If I can't adjust to that, that could cause depression. If there's more of us than them and they can't adjust to us, that's going to cause depression.
Okay.
You don't have that people migrating to other states.
Okay,
Like,
so
that's all I'm saying.
you're talking like the people. Okay, so the native
just talking
Texas here being depressed about that kind of stuff.
I'm
But
not-
then
I'm
you
not-
also
okay,
have
go ahead. Yeah,
you
go
also have people who've lived here their entire lives.
Yeah.
That whether they're undocumented or not have lived here literally their entire lives,
Yeah.
and now their state is the population is turning against them.
Yeah, that's why.
And politically,
That's what I just
and
said.
that's not just that's not just immigrants.
No, I
but
understand.
that's also like honestly the LGBTIA.
But what percentage of our population is that?
Higher than you think.
Yeah, but what is it? Tell me.
Do you need me to look it up?
No. I mean, my question is,
I would have to look it up.
what
Honestly,
percentage of the population is that to where it actually adds to the majority of all the depressive people to make this a depressive state?
I would just say that
Because I could bet there's probably a lot more people that are depressed by people coming over by numbers than they are the LGBTQ
Yeah.
community.
Well, I speak
Because LGBT
to
is
this
everywhere. They're not
Yeah,
just
Everywhere,
I,
all over, yeah.
I speak to this simply because that's a lot of those are a lot of my clients that I see in my
Yeah.
private practice.
Yeah.
I see clients that are LGBTQIA plus.
I have no
I
doubts
see-
that they
So
have
do you
depression
see a
and,
lot
and
of-
political issues.
absolutely.
Do you
Man, I'm
see a
not
lot of,
questioning.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of
Trans-
African American?
Sometimes, honestly, many times African Americans choose to see African American therapists,
Yeah.
which I'm all for. That's fantastic.
I'm asking you a question. Do you see a lot of Caucasian clients?
A lot of okay.
These
Depends.
are just yes or no questions.
Because I have two jobs
I'm talking-
at the
okay.
county hospital. Yeah, I see everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
The only reason I'm asking you this is because you said I see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of LGBT, and then you said that after I asked you about the African American, you didn't say yes and you didn't say no. You said that a lot of them choose to go with Black or African American counselors.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing a lot, you're speaking as though you see a lot more of LGBT. Why is that?
That's
Is it because they're more depressed, or is it because
in my private practice, I do put it on my page, on my Psychology Today page. that's an area that I work with.
Well,
But I also work with people who are autistic.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I'm not against you. I'm saying that I'm for you. I think I'm.
Yeah, no doubt. You do good stuff.
Oh, here we go.
But-
Texas
okay, yeah,
has
okay.
the second largest LBT population in the U.S. This was an article from 2022.
That means they like it here.
Um,
That
Steers
means
and
it's a great
queers,
place.
you know.
yeah, I mean it's a big state.
I guess what I'm saying is when you say that's mostly what you see, and then I asked you because you can say that.
Well, I
there's
see
more,
I see a lot of African American people at the psych hospital where I work
Right.
at. Because again, we're seeing, everybody,
Because
pretty much.
the reason why when you say that, like I could say, well, there's more African American people that are depressed. You say you see
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we're only 12%. So what percent of us is the LB? Because I don't know that.
I don't know the percent,
Yeah,
but according to this article, it's like 2.7 million.
Yeah. So
It's a sizable community.
Yeah, when you say you were seeing more
Mm-hmm.
people, I like think about the listener, and there's probably people are assuming like maybe there's more of those people that are depressed because of what's going on here. But if you see more, and that's
Yeah.
what you deal with,
Well,
then just
I
like I got a lady who can say she deals with more married couples.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
that's what she does.
Yeah.
and so
Well-
she could say I see a lot of married people.
Well, what I'm saying is, out of the people that I see that
Yeah.
are of that population, I'm seeing a lot of depression. I'm
Right.
seeing a lot of anxiety, and
Right.
specifically depression and anxiety relating to how they're being treated
right.
and the political climate being, in Texas being against them. So those are issues that they brought up with me.
Right, right.
Now, when I have seen African American clients,
We gonna say the same thing.
y'all are going to say that. Yeah, exactly.
Why he got his foot in her ass?
Yeah, exactly. No, really. I hear a lot about.
get into it, but man,
I
we're
hear a
cool
lot
as
about.
Oh yeah, no, dude. I love
Yeah,
it.
I hear a lot about racism. I hear a lot about problems specifically in the Black community. From my African American clients.
Yeah.
No, there's always been a bit of a stigma for Black people in particular when it comes to mental health.
Yes.
A lot of people keep it quiet. They don't want to talk about it. They don't go out for help.
Well, the thing of it is, the thing I find interesting is I'm actually seeing more African American people reaching out for help than in the past.
Yeah.
Like, I've talked to many people that are like old school. They're like, I would have never considered doing this, but I'm doing this now and I'm proud of me, and recognizing that, many of their family members will not and feel like therapy is a bad word. So, I really feel like the African American community is doing a lot for itself, mental health related. And then also you look at this, like, African American women, believe it or not, they are the highest growing population as far as getting degrees, like advanced degrees.
Right.
Like, you got so many Black women with master's degrees, and I think that is amazing and powerful.
Yes.
So there's a lot good that's going on.
Right.
But there's also, again, still a lot of work. I mean,
Yeah.
there's tons of systemic racism,
Yeah.
going on right now, and
It's gonna always be that way. It's gonna always be that way.
I don't like to be a pessimist that way.
Yeah.
People have this idea that if you don't talk about it, it's going to go away.
No.
I feel like it's the opposite. You need to talk it out. You need to get out of your system.
You have
Again, as
to-
a therapist, that's how people heal. And
No, you're right. You're
again,
right.
that's not all I do. I don't just listen to people,
Right.
but that's a big part of it.
Right.
Feeling heard.
Yeah.
And you have to face those challenges head on. I'm 100% on board with that. That's kind of why I'm a little bit against some of the censorship type stuff that we're seeing out there right now, because I think it's a bad way to deal with things. If someone has a bad idea, bad speech, or they're making transphobic comments or racist or whatever, or even, I don't know, the latest deal with some country music song, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not about, you don't remove those people. You don't black them out and censor them. You challenge them.
Well,
Yeah.
You confront
I
them.
agree.
I think we should challenge and confront them. Honestly, I think that's very important because, again, you got to look at just from the era of Donald Trump. Okay, he's kind of created this whole zeitgeist where I used to not hear people out loud making racist claims. Okay, like
didn't?
people tended to keep that shit to themselves.
You didn't?
Unless, well, okay, I'm talking about in mixed company. Okay. Independently, like when it's just a group of white people together, yeah, from time to time I'd be hearing stuff like, oh, hey, you want to hear a joke?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. and having like very racist ideas. But the point is people kept it quiet a lot more.
And that's the
and
problem.
now, no, I really feel like they need to shut the fuck up.
Well,
You know,
I'm gonna
and
tell
let
you
the rest
why.
of us move on with
I'm
life.
going to tell you why I disagree with you.
Okay.
Because you're contradicting yourself. Because what Donald Trump did, since we're talking about that, because that affected people mentally.
Absolutely.
What he did was expose what people are doing behind closed doors, so that now other countries are looking at America, and America has to see who America really is.
Yeah.
But, so on one side you say we should keep it behind closed doors, but then when you talk about depression, you say we need to talk about it. We need to let
I'm
people
saying
know.
I'm
No.
saying we should not give them a stage, because the problem is with that is when you start accepting that as a valid point,
Right.
what happens is you have the rise of white nationalism, and where white nationalism was a thing that was like, you know, getting close to dying out, and then all of a sudden we have this resurgence of white nationalism.
I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say,
And that's depressing people.
I'm going to say that you're not. I'm not going to say you're wrong, because everybody's. And like I said, you're a professional, so I respect you.
Yeah.
But that's not true. That's an opinion. Nothing is ever. The only thing.
Well, no,
the only thing Donald Trump did was he put everything out so that you can see it.
Yeah.
If Jeremy goes
He
home
made it
today, and I'm only
acceptable.
using Jeremy because we're friends and we're cool.
Yeah.
If Jeremy goes to his son and calls me a nigger, and he's talking bad about me to his son.
Yeah.
And the only thing his son does is he comes out and says it out loud where everybody can see it. His son is no worse than him or no better. The only difference is Jeremy's saying it behind closed doors. But as far as what they're doing to us, the agenda is the same. Donald Trump just said, you know what? I'm going to expose these people and I'm going to show everybody what we're really doing.
He himself
Instead of-
is one of those people.
I mean, that may be fine if you feel that way. I don't, because I don't know of a racist or a nationalist that has black people in their home, that takes pictures with them. This is before he was a president. That hangs with. I don't know of one that do that. A separatist, they stay separate. They don't front in front of the camera and
Not
take
entirely.
pictures. Well, I'm saying the separatists that I know.
Yeah.
That's why they're called separatists.
Yeah.
We stay a separatist is not gonna take a picture with Jay-Z like this,
Right.
with Mike Tyson like this.
That's
I don't
'cause
give
they're
a damn.
celebrities.
I don't give a damn who they are. A separatist is not gonna do that. Am I correct? I wish we had a separatist to call.
Well, no, I agree. I think
Call in.
I agree, but I see both arguments.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
I think what she's saying is he is forward in his racial slurs. He's made some racial comments, but yours also saying he may have done that, but I don't really think he.
I haven't heard him do it. I haven't.
Well, I haven't either. But
Well, I mean,
I
what
haven't-
about calling immigrants, basically calling immigrants drug dealers and,
Basically?
terrible people? No.
Basically?
Actually, immigrants.
Some are.
Some of them are, but actually,
So
immigrants.
he's not wrong. He's
No,
kind of
no,
wrong
no,
and kind of
No,
right.
I'm saying,
Can
did
we-
he say it or did
hold
he
on.
basically
Continue.
say it?
He did
Yeah.
say it, but
Okay.
actually,
Continue.
immigrants have much lower rates of committing crimes than American citizens,
See,
and that's a statistic you can actually look up.
I believe. I don't know. I thought he said illegal immigrants. I didn't
Illegal-
know that.
illegal
I didn't know he
immigrants.
said immigrants
Well,
because
you're talking undocumented. I'm not talking about people that have
But
been
here's a
here for
contradiction.
generation after generation.
Here's a contradiction. They did commit a crime. They're over here illegally.
Yeah, that's
So every
the crime.
one of them are criminals.
Yeah, every
but
one
not
of them.
not in the way it is. If you come over here illegally, it's a crime.
Yeah.
Well, now you have to
Well-
define what's legal and what's illegal.
It's illegal to come over
I
here
think we
without
got-
paperwork.
I think we kind of got off topic.
Yeah, yeah,
No, no.
Yeah.
I know we did, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's
We
interesting to
really
hear.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it is. But we gotta.
But I did have someone.
We'll have to bring you back for these topics.
Yeah.
I did have someone who said that I never hear you guys talk about Donald Trump. So this one's for you.
Yeah, no, but I get it. But all of that stuff does play a role in how we're feeling and depression. Because even now, like I start getting is like because when people go to talking, then I get how I'm feeling, and then people get personal, and then people get. So it's definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not on topic, but it's gonna affect how people feel.
It is. It is absolutely going to
Somebody's
affect
gonna
how
be
people
pissed
feel
at you, and
about it.
somebody's gonna be pissed at me.
That's
Deetta asked a question.
Okay.
Deetta asked a question.
Sure.
She wanted to know what are things people should consider when choosing a counselor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
important.
First and foremost, you want to make sure that you click with that counselor, because the most important part of a therapy, being able to, for it to be very therapeutic, okay, is to have a great relationship with that counselor or therapist. So that's kind of the number one thing. Secondly, look into any kind of special issues you have. I mean, are you, is your issue specifically anxiety or depression? Do you, and then, or are you dealing with some other issues? So, you can do I will mention psychology today because I love it, and I do have a profile on there. But the cool thing about it, though, is you can search by your you can filter your insurance company, the specific, special topics, whether that is, LGBTQIA topics, and I mentioned that a lot. I am an advocate, or maybe you're dealing with issues like culturally related. Or specifically, again, some people prefer to have a therapist that is, comes from the same background or similar race, although race is a social construct.
Yeah.
Just to have, because it may be a social construct, but there is Black culture, And so, maybe having that same
get him started
similar
now. I'm just saying.
background.
No, I already talked about that ago.
No,
you did, yeah.
You have nationality and culture. There's no such thing as race. There's no such
Exactly,
thing. Yeah.
exactly. But Black culture is very important, as is, Latinx culture, as is, and I'm not going to say Caucasian culture, but specifically like people of Irish descent, people
I'm
of
Irish. I
English
just look
descent,
dark.
whatever. Yeah.
Irish boy.
Yeah, he got
No, I mean,
baked a
Scottish,
little
I'm
bit.
Scottish.
Here's one thing I know about him,
That's the
though.
word killed.
Yeah.
He might be a little Irish because he'll sure take a drink. He will. I've been out with him.
Yeah.
He'll throw him back.
Yes. But again,
I'm
you want to
Scottish.
make
I just know where to kill.
yeah. But again, with finding that therapist, though, you need to make sure that you have a good connection with them. And, in that first session, if it's not flowing, if it's not clicking, try another therapist. I mean, it might be it might be a trial thing that you have to do, but you will be a lot better off that way in finding a therapist that actually works well with you. Again, it's that relationship that's more important than anything.
What about couples therapy? I know we're running on short on time, but just couples therapy. Do you ever do the couples therapy thing?
Not really.
Is that tougher to do? What's that like?
I kind of feel in some ways it is. And then plus, honestly, I didn't specialize. I feel like people that specialize in marriage therapy or specialize in couples therapy really should do that. Yeah. For me, I feel like I work better with individuals.
No, I see.
Yeah. But I work with special populations. I work with people who are autistic, ADHD, basically the neurospicy people.
Yeah.
And
I think that's great, though. We need people we need more counselors like that.
Yeah.
How do people find you?
Most of the time, Psychology Today. I also work under a private practice, and sometimes people find me through that private practice website.
Okay.
And we'll put the link up
I was about to say,
on our page.
Absolutely.
And you are local here in Fort Worth?
I am local here in Fort Worth. I only do telehealth sessions. I just find that works better with my schedule. Right now, I'm only seeing people in the evening. But as I don't know, sometime in the next 6 months or so, I'm thinking I might do it more full time in order to grow my private practice.
Another thing for you, since you're doing teleserve, can you work with people in other states? Anywhere?
I cannot because I'm only licensed in the state of Texas.
Okay.
So that's another thing. If you do telehealth, make sure that your therapist is licensed in the state where you live.
Or put a big picture of beef behind you so they don't question where you're at.
Right?
I was looking at it so we could send her out to more people.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Well, no, the interesting
we
thing
want you
about
to
it,
grow.
though, thank you.
And help us grow.
I appreciate that. I can actually be physically elsewhere. I don't have to physically be in the state of Texas, but my client has to be.
I got you.
So, yeah, one of the things I'm thinking
We
about
got to get it the other way around.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I'm thinking about doing is actually getting an RV and, sort of doing some travel and just doing telehealth with Texans as I'm traveling.
That is amazing. And once again, we appreciate you joining us today. This has been a very insightful,
This is a great show.
Educational.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Good debate anyway.
Oh, it's fun.
Oh, man, y'all bring up Trump, man. You already know that's what's going to happen.
Trump, that's his boy. That's
my
his,
boy.
Yeah, he loves
I don't care how he feel about me. I like Trump.
I'm a libertarian, so I hate you all.
Yeah.
I don't hate
equal
anybody.
opportunity.
I'm just playing. But once again, thank you for joining us. And for everyone, this is licensed professional counselor Mary Susan Lyons. You can find her on Psychology Today. And are there other places that we can find you?
Again, just mainly Psychology Today. Yeah, is the best place to find me.
Awesome. So check her out and check us out, the Gen X Talk podcast.
And we'll have it posted too.
Yes, we'll have all of your links and all of your contact information. So anyone who'd like to get in touch with Susan will be able to. And hopefully she'll be able to help some of you guys out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for everyone who took the time to comment and let us invade your personal space. And if you enjoy our content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify if you want the audio version, or Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere, guys. So until next time, bye.